Hi, my name's Jacqueline. How did you die? Is there anyone there? Can you tell me your name?
Are you afraid of the dark? Are you scared?
Hello ghosties! Yes, as you may probably have noticed by my introduction, I'm going to be talking about EVP etiquette. And you can't talk about etiquette unless you're having a very large glass of wine. So unfortunately, all of these paranormal TV shows have spread a lot of really bad habits in the field. So whenever you see Zach Bagans or any of the guys from Taps conducting an EVP session, they're usually just straight to it like, is there anyone there? Tell me, did you murder your sister? But honestly, if you were meeting someone for the very first time, would you actually tell them whether or not you had murdered your sister? I mean, probably not, but still. Technically, they're already dead, so. Aside from that, there are a whole heap of things that the TV shows don't show us. There's so much that goes into editing and that gets taken out that, honestly, when you try and translate that to real life and conducting a real EVP session with real background noise and real people, it just doesn't fit very well. So the very first thing that I'm going to talk about, obviously, is tagging. Tagging is the act of verbally, literally, tagging a noise that has happened or a noise that someone has made. So this can be something that, for example, if you're walking down a hallway, walking very lightly of course, and you accidentally step on a piece of flat glass or something and it makes a noise, you say, tag, that was me. If you're in a location that might be close to a road and a motorbike goes past or a plane flies overhead, you can just go, tag, that was a motorbike outside, or tag, that was an aeroplane. Or if you're me, you just say, go away aeroplane. It can also be noises that come from your team or from yourself. One of the problems that we have a lot of the time with our EVP sessions is because we usually do our investigating after all of our guests have gone home, after coffee, tea, biscuits, chocolate, mother, V, whatever kind of stimulant, everyone's tummies are gurgling. Tummy demons. Tummy demons are everywhere. They are the bane of paranormal investigators' existences. Don't be afraid to tag a tummy demon. There is nothing worse than listening back to a recording thinking that you've got some awesome kind of answer when realistically it is just someone's stomach gurgling. And you will be surprised how much a tummy gurgle sounds like a demonic voice. Now, the second piece of EVP etiquette is to never whisper. Now, I don't know why this is. It might just be the volume or the energy or things, but most of the time when we catch an EVP or a potential EVP, it comes through sounding like a whisper. So guess what we should not be doing? Yes, whispering. If you whisper, even if it's by accident, tag it. And don't whisper a tag, because that kind of defeats the whole purpose. Like, I've been there before when someone's made a noise and then they'll go, that was me. And if you ask anyone from my team, I turn into the biggest EVP Nazi ever. What are you doing? Stop moving. Die quieter. Don't be afraid to talk in a normal voice as soon as you think you hear something. Obviously, you guys are probably going to want to try and be as quiet as you possibly can. For example, if you see a rat run past and you happen to hear a noise from a room that the rat ran into, you could just say, hey, a rat just ran into that room, instead of other people hearing the noise and going, oh my god, was that paranormal, or did that come in response to a question or something like that. It kind of ties into that idea of good communication. Good communication is good. Now, of course, as demonstrated by my really bad opening, if you think that you're dealing with some kind of intelligent entity, with some kind of non-residual haunting, then that essentially means that you're possibly dealing with a person. So don't shove a recorder in their face and go, "What year did you die?" It's just rude. Plus you lose the opportunity to actually try and build some kind of empathy. If we're, again, going by the assumption that ghosts are dead people and they're people and ghosts exist, and God, there's a lot of assumptions. If we're going by this assumption, then you should probably treat them like people. Introduce yourself. One of the things that I love to do with our guests, if I'm running an EVP session, is we'll go around in a circle and we'll say our names and one interesting thing about ourselves. So usually I'll do something like, "Hi, my name's Jax and I really like cats." By the same token, you can also go around in a circle, introduce yourselves, and then ask a question. But when you're asking a question, just don't kind of make it sound really personal and direct and blunt. It just seems really cheesy and rude, and I swear I've been going my entire paranormal investigation part of my life wanting to not be like, "Is there anybody there?" Yvette Fielding did a lot of great things for the field when she wasn't kicking things, namely cupboards. Don't be Yvette Fielding. Now this brings me to the next thing that I'm going to talk about, which obviously, talking about being polite and being rude, provoking. There is a time and a place for provoking. Not everyone likes provoking. Some people think that it's really mean. Personally, I think that it's a lot of fun. There is a time and a place for it. Namely, you don't walk into, say for instance, an old primary school or a hospital or an orphanage and start sprouting out 4-letter words, calling people names. No, you're trying to think of these things, phenomena, as people, not like performing monkeys kind of thing. That they're not performing monkeys. We don't even know what they are, but performing monkeys is not what they are. However, if you're in a prison or you felt really confident about antagonizing whatever it is, sure, alright, okay, go for it. The only time that I think that I would ever allow provoking really would be at a prison. Let's face it, they were used to it. You're kind of talking their language. However, I do have a special side note. I haven't come across this because our group doesn't do private cases, but if you are ever doing a private case, do not provoke. It's all well and good when you're calling this thing, antagonizing it and making it angry, and then you jump in your car and you go home. The person who lives there can't jump in their car and go home. They have to deal with whatever it is that you've riled up. Please, if you're doing a private investigation, try not to provoke unless you have the express permission of your client. But again, what do I know? Research and always have a list of go-to questions. I used to have my questions written down, and you know what, they're fairly standard. I would introduce myself. I would go, "Hey, what's your name? What's your last name? What year is it? Are you dead?" And then open the floor up to whatever it is, depending on wherever I am. If I was at Parramatta Jail, then we would ask, what was the worst screw? A screw is what they used to call the police and the guards that kind of looked after them. It helps a lot if you use language that they're really familiar with, which is like example with the screws and stuff like that. Who knows, maybe one of the spirits were football fans. This closely ties in with a few other techniques that you can weave into your EVP sessions, like era cues, experiments with stone tape theory, with music, things like that. I'll probably do a video on those separately because those things are like, they're worth a video all by themselves. Think on your feet. If you hear a noise, try and get them to confirm that they made that noise. Try and get them to confirm that they didn't make that noise and that it was just a pigeon. Imagine how cool it would be if you go, hey, did you just make that cooing noise? That was the f***ing pigeon. You can try reenacting something, but mostly tag. Be polite, unless you're in jail or something like that. But have fun. I'm going to finish my wine now. If you guys have any tips and tricks for doing your EVP sessions, or if you just think that it's a load of baloney and you just love watching people making a fool of themselves on television and YouTube, feel free to leave a comment in the box below, or click subscribe, and don't forget to ring the little bell and you can abuse me regularly on this channel. I should really stop drinking.